Clock on your Friday night. I'm meteorologist Melissa Nora with your 11 Alive weather impact forecast. This is the extended live update on our 24/7 weather impact channel on 11 Alive Plus. And if you're watching us there or if you are watching us on replay, we appreciate you joining in for this extended update talking about the weekend forecast. And man, what a week we just had, right? A lot of ups and downs in the temperatures, and that is the name of the game when it comes to early and springtime here. We see a lot of ups and downs in those temperatures, and we are on our way back up the roller coaster throughout the weekend, as opposed to that really cold start that we had this morning. We got down to a low in Atlanta of about 36 degrees, but over the weekend, gradually warming. In fact, I got both Saturday and Sunday in the 70s for high temperatures, so a little bit warmer than we hit today. We were 65 this afternoon, and we're going to be staying dry both Saturday and Sunday. But as we track dry temperatures, dry conditions each day, warmer temperatures, dry ground, low humidity, that all increases the threat of fires outside. So in elevated fire danger, you're going to see a red flag warning in the picture for the next day for Saturday, and then potentially we could see another red flag warning into Sunday as well. But right now we are seeing that colder air retreating, and this is allowing for the jet stream to push a little bit further north over the weekend, bringing in those warmer above average temperatures. So while we see that jet stream pushing north, this opens the door for more warm temperatures to come in across the southeast. So you'll notice as we go through the highs the next couple of days, we're not going to have a single temperature that is below average. Remember, we just had 50s in the afternoon yesterday. I don't have anything close to that here over the next 7 days. Temperatures right now, it is your live weather update at 9 o'clock, and it is chilly out there. I mean, things have been cooling down the last couple of hours. We hit a high of 65, and currently right now we're at 58 in Atlanta. So we've dropped down about 7 or 8 degrees since our high of the day. Outlying suburbs dropping down right now through the low 50s. It's 53 in Duluth and 51 in Blairsville, and Clayton is 50 degrees. But as we go towards tomorrow morning with clear skies, a little lighter winds than we had yesterday evening and overnight, and also that dry air, this allows for a lot of radiational cooling in the overnight. So all that heating from the day is able to escape the atmosphere very quickly, and that gives us many colder pockets of air in those outlying suburbs. So we'll be starting off on Saturday morning, a low of 42.
I'm meteorologist Melissa Nora tracking your weekend forecast, and we're heading into spring break season. And whether you're doing a staycation here in Atlanta or you're traveling somewhere else, this is the weather to expect
across
over the long weekend.
Georgia,
now,
and also
closer to Atlanta,
Georgia.
we are expecting
what
a
about
rebound
Saturday
in the
as a
temperatures.
whole?
We had
Cold start,
temperatures to
fabulous
finish the week.
finish. Temperatures by
early
noon
spring
are up
frost
to the low
freeze
60s,
set up for
and
the
then
metro,
we're gonna top out
but
in the
by
low 70s
Saturday
for high
afternoon,
temperatures. So
we're back
warm up
in the
nicely
70s,
with that
and we're going to keep
sunshine,
those 70s
and
going into
temperatures are going
Sunday.
to be
Both
up
Saturday
above
and Sunday
average by
feature
several degrees.
plenty
But
of
as I
sunshine
mentioned,
overall, but I do think
as we're
high level clouds
tracking
build
your
in a bit
forecast
more
this
on
weekend,
Sunday. And
we are
what
going
you'll
to
also
see,
notice is with the breezy
looks like
winds
11
out there,
plus maybe.
the humidity levels will be pretty low each hour.
There we go. All right. I thought I was in this mode, but I may not have been. So let's try it again. We'll start over again. I thought I was on 11 Alive Plus talking about your live weather forecast update, but then I think we got booted, and I think we ended up with weekend forecast we taped yesterday. Let's try that again. All right, so over the weekend, we're talking about warming temperatures. That's the big weather story. And we're also talking about dry weather both Saturday and Sunday. That's going to elevate the fire danger. You'll notice a red flag warning for tomorrow. Cool temperatures retreating. We hit a low this morning in the 30s, and now we're seeing those temperatures warming back up through the 60s today, 70s on the way for Saturday, 70s on the way for Sunday. That jet stream pushing north, it's going to send in some warmer temperatures across our region. Right now, though, we're chilly outside. 58 in the city. We've got outlying suburbs down in the low 50s, even Peachtree City dropping to 49 right now. So overnight tonight with clear skies, lighter winds than we saw during the day today, dry air. That's a perfect recipe for a chilly spring or fall night, depending on the time of year. We have a lot of what's called radiational cooling, where the heating of the day can escape the atmosphere, The heating of the day can escape the atmosphere, and we end up seeing a colder night ahead. So we'll be dropping down to a low of 42 in the city, outlying suburbs in the 30s there, 35 in Blairsville, and 39 in Clayton. Day planner for your Saturday. We're looking at temperatures starting off very cold in the morning. By lunchtime, we're at 62 degrees, and then in the afternoon, topping out in the low 70s with plenty of sunshine. Now, although it's a beautiful day to be outside, one of the things we're going to be dealing with over the weekend is this elevated risk of fires over the weekend. So we have a red flag warning on Saturday that'll run from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. During that time frame, we've got dry air, dry ground, and gusty winds. Some of those wind gusts could be around 30 miles per hour, and those gusty winds and those dry conditions mean any spark that develops could spread quickly over the weekend. So this is for Saturday, but I wouldn't be surprised Sunday if we saw either an elevated fire risk or another red flag warning issued because of how dry the ground is and the breezy winds that we'll be contending with. All right, wind gusts tomorrow. I know they don't seem like much, but we dealt with this on Wednesday. We had a brush fire in Pickens County, and it spread so quickly they had to close down a couple of roadways so that they could get containment around that fire. This is one of the things we'll be watching tomorrow. If any of these sparks ignite, how quickly they can spread on Saturday. So we are looking at a red flag warning, and we're also looking at temperatures that are going to be above average tomorrow afternoon. 67's at average high this time of year. We're going to be at 71 in Atlanta, 71 Peachtree City, Eatonton 72 degrees, and far north Georgia running in the mid 60s for high temperatures on Saturday. A beautiful start to your weekend. And you know, Sunday, it gets better as long as you can tolerate pollen levels. If you like the warmer weather, you'll love Sunday's forecast. I've got temperatures in the morning, again, starting that crisp and cool kind of, I don't want to call it a fall feeling outside, but it's that spring and fall feeling where you get that chill in the air, but you don't have the high humidity as much. So we're going to be starting off crisp and cool in the morning, and then 76 by Sunday afternoon. But then we get past Sunday and things change. Let me walk you through everything hour by hour on Forecast Track. Here's tomorrow morning showing those few 30s, but a lot of 40s to start us off. We'll push the Forecast Track out into your lunch hour, and we're running in the low 60s. A lot of sunshine, but that breeze is really kicking up for the afternoon, and then we get up to about 70 for the high temperature with sunshine. Let's fast forward it to Sunday. We start in the morning, couple degrees warmer, and that means we're going to top out a couple degrees warmer by the afternoon. A few high-level clouds build in at times on Sunday afternoon, but I do expect those high temperatures to be in the mid-70s. A south breeze, and that's going to start pumping in more humidity ahead of our next cold front. And that cold front will be producing some thunderstorm activity north and west of our area during the afternoon on Sunday. By the time we push this forecast track out to 10:30, you can see we're still dry here in Georgia, but to our north and west throughout Alabama, back into Tennessee, we're tracking this line of thunderstorms and heavy rain that's advancing closer to our region. So this is what we're going to be watching at the very end of the weekend, this line of showers, a few thunderstorms getting closer to us. But you see that forecast track, how it just kind of fizzled it out? We've got so dry of air, and we don't have the dynamics, meaning the wind energy and all the forcing. We're far enough away to the low to where even if we see some strong storms to our north and west, it looks like it's going to fall apart as it's getting to our area. What I mean by that is, even if storms are strong or severe to our north and west, they should be weakening as they get into North Georgia. So we'll start off Monday morning tracking some showers, maybe some isolated thunderstorms, and then you can see there as we go into the afternoon on Monday, the showers are going to be exiting, and we will see temperatures rebounding into the 60s in the afternoon. So we are starting off with temperatures that are going to be in the 40s in the morning, and then by the afternoon, we're going to see those temperatures climbing back up into the 60s. So that's for your Sunday. Sunday, here's the big picture outlook. You can see a severe weather threat. This is a level 2 threat from southwestern Tennessee back into eastern Texas. And then there's that level 1 threat throughout northwestern Alabama back into Mississippi. And then by the time the storms get to us, they should be weakening enough to where we are not seeing that risk of thunderstorms there. So watching that. Also, let's talk about rainfall. We're actually not looking at a whole lot of rain from the system coming in. You can see those rainfall comparison maps here showing, yeah, we could have some spots get 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 an inch, but because a lot of this is going to fall apart as it's approaching us, I don't expect us to see big rainfall totals. Now, let's talk about the other side effect of the warm weather we've been experiencing over the last week, and that is the pollen. Yesterday, we had our first extremely high tree pollen count, or pollen count in general, of the year. That was, ironically, on the first day of spring. Today's count, 503. Tree pollen is in the high range. Also something interesting, grass pollens. Yes, some of those grasses are waking up from being dormant with how warm the temperatures have been over the last day. And then we've got our tree pollen contributors right down here. So pine is the main contributor, oak. We also have sweet gum and juniper and hackberry. And we had one extremely high day so far. We've got more to come. Now, every single year is different, but on average, we see some years getting about 5 to 7 extremely high days. Other years get 15 or so. But it all averages out to be about 12 to 13 of those days each year in the extremely high range. So we're likely going to see, as temperatures keep staying above average, we get some of these breezy afternoons, picking up the pollen grains, flying them around. It's all going to end up on the rotorod machine, which collects the pollen grains, and that's how they put it under a microscope with a stain, and they count the different pollen particles. We call them particles, but it's really what do the different pollen grains look like under the microscope. So we're going to see more of these coming up. If you're suffering from allergies, we've got a ways to go. 500 is nothing. Typically, we see about 2 to 3 days at or above 4,000 for the numbers each and every season. So pollen season, the first extremely high day was yesterday on the first day of spring. That includes the data from the previous 24 hours of pollen collection. And we're going to see more to come here at the end of the month. And when we do get into that peak of pollen season, which is typically around the 1st of April, there's generally maybe a 2-week period that Atlanta Allergy and Asthma, who collects and counts the pollen each and every day, normally they just do Monday to Friday counts. You'll see these are in gray. But when we get to that peak of pollen season, it might not be this weekend, it might be next weekend and the following weekend or something like that. They end up counting the pollen on Saturdays and Sundays as well, because it is so crucial for those who are allergy sufferers to know exactly what's the contributor out there. Is that one of the irritants for me that triggers my allergy symptoms, or is my main allergen starting to drop off a little bit? All right, so we've got a lot of warm weather that's going to contribute to more of those higher pollen counts. Saturday's high 71, 76 on Sunday. Monday we drop back a little bit with that chance of rain, the front coming in, but behind this front there's not a really robust cold snap coming behind it. It drops us off a little bit for Monday because of the rain, but then look at Tuesday. We're back to 75. I mean, that's above average by more than 5 degrees, and 70s are likely for the rest of the work week. What about low temperatures? I know we just had a low in the mid-30s this morning. Are we done with lows in the 30s? Well, in the short term, the next 7 days, yes, but in the long term, we may not necessarily be done with lows in the 30s in Atlanta. We average March 21st for our last freeze of the season, meaning 32 degrees or below. But we see frost very frequently. I'm not going to say every year, but it's not uncommon for us to see lows in the upper 30s the first week of April or so. All right. What do we need to know about the lows this week, though? Behind that front coming in Monday, there's not a sharp drop off. So you notice tomorrow morning, 42, we go to 46 on Sunday. This is Monday morning's rain coming in, 55 for the low. Behind it, yeah, it drops us off to 45, but then we're right back to 50 again as we get into Wednesday. So we've got more spring warmth heading this way over the next week. All right, if you're traveling this weekend, I know we're getting into the spring break season. Some school systems are out next week or the week after. If you are traveling on Saturday, decent travel weather across the southeast. We do have a little bit of that wintry mix in the UP of Michigan, the upper part of the mitt and the finger. A few showers across the Ohio Valley as well, but quiet weather throughout the midsection of the country. Even though it looks really quiet, we've been dealing with the last several days, the southern plains, elevated fire risk. So they do have more red flag warnings in effect for parts of the southern plains. We've also got another storm system that is pushing across kind of the Bitterroots down to the northern Rockies, dropping a little bit of snow there. And then if you're traveling to the Four Corners, the West Coast, things are looking pretty good there. But there is another storm system this weekend that's going to be pushing into the Pacific Northwest. And you see that here by Sunday morning, pushing more rain and higher elevation snow up into Washington state. Quiet weather throughout California, the Four Corners, and then here comes our next storm system. This is dropping a little bit of light snow and a wintry mix to the upper Midwest, then rain showers from Detroit southward across the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. This eventually does lead to a chance of some stronger thunderstorms from Tennessee back to East Texas Sunday afternoon, and by the time this gets to us on Monday, remember, it's going to be weakening. Meanwhile, if you're traveling up the 95 corridor on Sunday, quiet weather is expected, so that's good news there. And then we get to Monday, back to work, or maybe it is your spring break week. We've got that system bringing us some showers, some isolated thunderstorms, and notice the cold front's going to be draping showers not just for us, but all the way up into the Northeast. And as you get where it's cold enough in interior New England, that will transition into some light snow accumulations there as well. But behind that front, quiet weather through the midsection. Chilly but dry in Chicago, at least 46 degrees. So a better looking Monday versus their Sunday, and then quiet across the Four Corners. Phoenix, hello spring, 95 degrees there. And then by Monday afternoon, still dealing with some of the lingering remnants of moisture in Seattle, but not quite as deep and just nasty outside as what the first half of the weekend ends up looking like. All right, let's recap Atlanta's forecast for the weekend. 71 on Saturday, chilly start in the morning, breezy, red flag warning, but beautiful afternoon. For Sunday, 76, that high temperature will start off in the 40s in the morning, and by Sunday night, tracking that next chance of rain. Here's your 7-day forecast, wrapping things up today for you. We're tracking showers coming in Monday morning, and then more 70s for high temperatures. In fact, by the end of next week, look at that, 77 by next Friday. Some models have us closer to 80 degrees, so plenty of warmth to go around for spring. There's a lot of things blooming outside. Remember, you can always catch the latest weather forecast here on 11 Live Plus. If you go to that 24/7 Weather Impact channel, we always are streaming new content for you. We've got that live radar loop that's up throughout the day, so you can know what the weather is out your window and the weather ahead over the next week. Have a great weekend.